is there any questions? I see there's been several that have rolling in on the chat there. Emily, are you able to?
Yes, we do have one that hasn't been answered. Would tribes qualify for the 25%?
Uh, that would fall. I mean, in my opinion, that is there is something there that talks about. I believe it is there on the oh the actual application, but I mean that tribes would fall under one of those categories.
Underserved.
Yes.
Any other questions just related to match?
I have a quick question, Mary Ruth.
Sure.
You mentioned, or you all just mentioned that, you know, if let's say you purchased a machine for this project, that could be part of your match. How far back can that go? You know what I mean? Like, is it within that you purchased? And maybe there's not an answer to that. You just have to prove that, hey, this is towards equipment that I've needed towards this project. Is that true? Or is there any kind of timeline, you know, like a year ago or less? Do you understand what I'm saying, what I'm asking?
I would say probably within the last 6 months.
Okay, thank you.
Does need to directly relate to the project you are requesting funds for. Any other questions about match before we move on covering some of the frequently asked questions?
Let's see, there's one here. It says, does the project have to be completed with proof of payment before getting 50% reimbursed? Well, that is one thing that we probably need to go over with the infrastructure grants. These are just a reimbursable grant that so you would be invoicing ODAF on probably a monthly basis. So what you would have to do is you would be spending the money, and then you would then turn around and invoice us with proof of your payments. So you would be providing us with either, you know, canceled checks, paid invoices, credit card receipts, showing that how you had spent the money for it. With the equipment only grants, I think we are going to be able to do that on a 50-50 split, where awardees are going to be able to invoice us upfront for half of the cost with it, because those are going to be kind of a quicker turnaround than what our infrastructure grants will be. And then once you have spent that money, then you would have to show us proof of payments and how the money was spent before you would receive the second installment of money.
And just to make sure that was clear, that is on equipment only grants, that the 50% would be paid up front. Infrastructure, I know I'm just repeating what you said, Jason. Infrastructure is reimbursement only. Any more questions on match before we move on? All right, Jason, I think we're ready to go through some of the frequently asked questions. These are all on our website and on the USDA's site as well. But we wanted to hit some of the highlights that we haven't already. I will tell you, coming up, we will walk through each template line by line. So if you have decided this is not for you after the frequently asked questions and you don't want to sit through that, we don't blame you. I wanted to remind you that Jason is your resource from the state. He is the expert in this and is available for phone and email consultations anytime between now and the deadline. I will tell you he will be very busy, so his answer might not be immediate, but you can find all his contact information on our website where you found the applications. So we will be going through all those applications line by line. If after the FAQs you're like, okay, I'm out, we are happy to help you. We can't write your grant for you, but we are happy to help with technical assistance in understanding things a little better, if that helps some of your questions.
All right, I saw William had a question. That is a good question. Can you apply for both equipment and infrastructure grants? No, you have to make a decision which one of those and only apply for one. And so it's only you get to make a decision of which one of those you want to apply for. So before we start off on the frequently asked questions, I know Mary, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Mary Ruth just mentioned our website. So hopefully many of you have been on there and probably was where you got the link. But because I received so many questions, I thought that I would go over our website real quick and show you where some of these helpful items are going to be located just in the future. So here on the web, whenever you bring it up, many of you probably have noticed and been able to download, hopefully now, the templates for the applications. That if you have not, here is where they are. Here is a helpful little video to watch if you are having issues. Right below that are some things I really want to point out. Here in this forms section, these are three attachments that you are going to be required to add, especially on your infrastructure grants. So here's where your match verification letter is at, the collaborator organization letter. Those are templates that USDA provided. If you don't want to have to create your own, those are easy resources right there. This additional information section is one that I highly, highly recommend you go into. This first one is our grants manual. We're going to go over that, the FAQs, and the RFSI program scope and requirements. And you will see that referenced in the application. So if there's a question, then I would say probably one of these three documents here is going to be where you need to go to find those. And with that, let me do I'm going to start off here on our grant manual and start there. Hopefully, are you able to see it? The grant manual. Okay. So here on the front page, I know people have been asking, right here at the bottom of the front page, the due date is February 23rd. So they have to be emailed to me by 5 o'clock that day. So there is our deadlines. As you can see here, we have there's several different definitions that are pertinent to the application. So you can see some of these. What is a beginning farmer or rancher? If you're questioning, do I fall into that? There is your definitions. But you can look. This is some of the things we've already kind of touched on. Some like the eligible projects, who are eligible entities, some of the funding. As you can see here, we've not talked about this, but like with the infrastructure grants, you have 2 years to be able to get the projects completed. So there's a lot of information in here. The indirect cost that I talked about, matching. Here's that matching funds letter verification. It talks about what is required, and that is one of the links. The critical infrastructure. These are all things that we've gotten from USDA, and also with could be in their scope of works. One of the things here that is in the application is the unique entity identifier number. That is a number that you have to sign up with the federal government to receive. It's basically helping to ensure that you have not received other federal grants and misspent money in the past. It's a way kind of to track. There's not a cost to sign up. So you just have to go to this website here of sam.gov and enter your information. So please do that sooner rather than later. But just kind of wanted to go through here real quick. Here's talks about our competitive review process. Also here at the bottom, again, the submission of the application. So that is a little bit over the submission of the applications. Jumping over here to, here is a document that USDA has provided us as state departments of agriculture. Some of this may not be pertinent to you as a applicant because it's dealing with kind of our agreements with the USDA. But here's one I've highlighted of talking about in the application that we'll get to here in a little bit, the Distressed Communities Index. There is a portion on that application that, and we'll walk through it. You have to go in and type in the county that the project is going to be located in, and you will get a number for the as a distressed community. And so remember, whenever you're using that information, don't put your like town information or zip code in. Be sure to use the county that you were located in. Some of this can infrastructure grant recipients use money to then do like sub-agreements or sub-awards or mini grants to other entities? And the answer to that is no. It is not allowable for say an entity to receive a infrastructure grant and then turn around and then do smaller, say $10,000 grants out to groups. So can a producer buy equipment that only benefits their business or farm? And the answer is yes, you can do that. Going back to earlier comments of that, just is going to be one that, you know, depending on the review process and the reviewers in their mind, the benefits that it may have whenever you're looking at a project that impacts one grower or one business compared to if it's another that impacts 10 or 50, kind of how it will score out. We just talked about this. Can applicants apply for both? And the answer is no. You can only apply for one of those. Here's where we talked about the projects that focus on you know, cannabis, and that is a not eligible. So here we talked about the can it be used to fund purchase of land or buildings? We talked about no. Purchase vehicles. So if it is a special purpose vehicle, such as like a delivery truck that has cold storage, then yes. You know, if it's just going to be your you know, Chevy Silverado 1500 that you're going to go buy and say I'm making deliveries in, then that is a no. It has to be special purpose. It has to have that refrigeration in there. It cannot just be a general vehicle that you're using to do deliveries in, and would not even, like if you had a refrigerated trailer, you could not then say, well, I need a truck to pull it in. That is still not going to be eligible. Can you use funds to repair or fix existing equipment? Yes, you can do that. So our wineries and distilleries and breweries, are they eligible? The answer on that is yes. Those are eligible. Here's a little bit of the kind of a match calculator or example that they've used on kind of the 50% of that. So if if you are asking for $100,000 of RFSI funding, then that would mean that you are responsible for matching that. So the total cost of the project, whenever you take your match and add it in, would be at that level. So if the total cost of the project was at that 200,000, then you could do 100,000 of grants or 100 of matching.
Jason,
Yes.
can you go back up to the question in regards to the land and the buildings and everything that you just read? Okay, so on the agreement that we have here, the application manual, it says that you can use it for construction of a new facility. So you just can't use it. So if you own land, you can use this grant to build, but you just can't acquire an existing building?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can build. So if you own the land and all, if you're building new, or say that you had an existing building and needed to build on additional space to that, all of that is eligible. We just cannot buy the existing building.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
So like there's the kind of an example of for the match requirements. Again, we talked about this self-certification on the reduced amount. And then another thing we talked about is unrecovered indirect cost. Can it be used as part of your match or cost sharing? And the answer on that is yes. So if you are going to be doing any type of new construction, and one of the things that you will have to look at is the that you'll have to comply with the National Environmental Policy Act. So you will need to kind of look at that and make sure that you fall within those parameters. We've already touched on the UEI numbers, and I think that is kind of about it on our frequently asked questions. Is there anything there? I did not, just for the sake of redundancy here, bring up the scope and requirements from USDA there. That other link. It has a lot of other kind of helpful information that is there also. But does anybody have any questions at this time?
We do have some in the chat.
Okay.
Heather asked, can you speak more to the critical resources and infrastructure piece? Possibly give some examples.
Okay, repeat that again. I'm sorry.
Fine. Can you speak more to the critical resources and infrastructure piece? Can you give some examples?
Okay, that is a form or a template that USDA has that has to be filled out and accompanied with the actual application.
And then on the equipment only, can cost include all costs incurred, including when buying a vehicle, example, taxes, tag, etc.
What they have told us with the equipment only, that I guess would a vehicle would be considered equipment, I'm guessing, or does that need to be under the infrastructure grant? Because
we might need to clarify that. I know on equipment only if you are shipping costs and things like that can be paid if they're part of the original quote on the invoice. I don't believe we have clarified which one vehicle fits in.
That would be something that we need to, because I mean, to me, I could see them saying that would be, I mean, it's not actually a processing piece of equipment. It's more of for distribution.
Aaron, if you don't mind throwing up your email, we'll get that answer for you though.
Okay, and then Casey says, can the purchase of a portable building to process our product qualify as an equipment purchase?
That would not be equipment.
No.
That is infrastructure.
And then somebody asked about on the frequently asked questions about the match. It shows 100,000 at 50%, but it showed 33,000 at 25%.
Okay, the match, the way that USDA has explained this is very, very confusing. So it's 50% of the total project cost. And so if you say the total project is going to be 200,000 and you only apply for 100,000, you are still having to match 100,000, because 100,000 is 50% of that. If you were going to apply for, if the total project was there, and you were for say they said like a 200,000, and that's what you applied for, then if you were applying for $200,000, then you would then still, all you would have to do would be match that at 100,000 if you were in that 50,000, just because of the total cost of the project. But whenever you look at the application, as we will hear later, it does not, I did not see anywhere in there where it asked for the overall total cost. It just asks simply for the what are you asking for in grant funding.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, and then I believe you kind of brought this up before, or maybe Mary Ruth touched on it. When do the funds begin? I think she said she was hoping by August those might be released.
That is the very best case scenario. As she said, the February 23rd deadline is whenever you would submit it. And then we will, depending on the number of applications that we receive, we'll have to kind of go through those, make sure everything is eligible, and then that will have to go out through to our review committee that we put together. They will have to have time to be able to review these. So, I mean, if we have 80 applications, it's going to take them a little bit of time to review and score and then come back together. What I will say is that we will do this as quickly as possible to get those done. We have a goal of mid to late May of having, because we will have to select what projects get approved for our state of Oklahoma application to go to USDA. We have to have that submitted by the end of May to USDA. And so once we submit that, then we just are in a holding pattern and just waiting on USDA. They will have to review, even though you have passed the review process for Oklahoma, USDA will review all of our, if we have, say, 32 proposals that are in our state plan, they will have to go through our state plan and review all 32 of our proposals, make sure that they qualify and meet, more of their standards. And then they may have to kick one back and say they need more information. So we may have to do that dance with them for a little bit of getting it to where it is, in accordance to their liking. And once we do that and get it approved, we can then we'll have to get contracts in place with everybody and a purchase order issued. And from that date, we will be able to start your project. So August is one that we're saying is at the very, very best case scenario. We're probably talking more, September, October timeframe for being able to have all of this done and paperwork in place, and you having the green light to then start spending money.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, we do have several, so I'm just going to kind of work through them. Casey just said regarding the UEI numbers, just make sure you go to the right website, because sometimes companies will try to get you to pay a fee for that.
Correct. And I think that is on the FAQ there. If there is something that comes up that is asking you to pay a fee, you are on the wrong website. It does not cost anything to sign up for your UEI number there at sam.gov. So just remember, it should not cost you anything for this, for that number.
Okay, we have another one. Are we able to include multiple items for a project on the application? Example, the purchase of a new van, new pasteurizer, new cold storage, or are we only limited to one of those items?
Is that under equipment only?
Let's answer for either.
Okay, I was going to say for either you can have multiple. I mean, you can have multiple. I'm just like with the equipment only. If there was 3 pieces of equipment, as long as those 3 pieces of equipment fell underneath that $100,000 or what you were asking for, then you can have 3 pieces of equipment in your budget. You just will need to provide us with those quotes and bids on those 3, and we would not be able to add any additional pieces of equipment other than what was provided in the application. And same way with infrastructure. And I know somebody that I had talked to earlier this week had the question about if it's not you can have equipment in the infrastructure application. It's not just limited to others. So I've tried to use this, and it's hard to me come up with an example. So like under the equipment only, like if you were buying a piece of equipment that then required some type of like computer program for it to run on, then at that point, the machinery is eligible under the equipment only, but the computer programming and software or anything associated like that is not equipment. And so that would need to be run as a infrastructure grant. So infrastructure grants can cover a multitude of things. The equipment is just only equipment, and it can have multiple pieces of equipment in it as long as you do not exceed that maximum of $100,000.
Okay, Jason, we have. Oh, sorry.
You're good. I was going to take Sandra's question about posting the rubric. When that is available, we will post that on the website.
We do have, would these grants be well suited to a new business, or is it best suited to an expanding and existing business?
I think it's for both. I mean, there's a serious need for and where kind of some of our priorities are. I mean, there's a serious need across the state for co-packers. We don't have enough co-packers in the state or cold storage. And so, if there's an existing co-packer that needs to expand, I think this is a perfect fit for them. Or if there's somebody that is wanting to say, hey, I've always wanted to, I mean, I've got, a desire to become a co-packer. There's a definite need out there for all of our Maine, Oklahoma companies to find outlets and resources to make their many products. And if you wanted to start, there's a need out there. So I think that with that, there's not really a priority of new versus existing. I think that whenever you're looking at it, we probably make a quicker impact with some that are existing, and those are and some from some other grants that I've overseen that that impact gets and results get shown quicker. We've had it's a little longer drawn out process with starting from the blueprint project right now that's not even in operation, but it's one that there's needs for those and can definitely be beneficial to the state.